The next thing I want to talk about is the pitot-static system. So these are the old pitot-static lines going to the old Avidyne PFD. What we're going to do, Avidyne gives us everything we need, basically, except for the tubing. What I'm going to do is disconnect these guys, and I'm going to put in everything they've given us. So, alright, so the new pitot-static fittings, they look like this. They're just a quick disconnect, push on, that slides back a little bit. So they'll give you the fittings. There's one specifically for the pitot, one's for the static. I think the pitot is the one that has an extra little notch in it. They give you this little elbow, complete with the B-nut on there. They give you T's, they give you, everything comes in little bags. They give you little inserts that go in there. The only thing they don't give you is the tubing. They leave it up to the installer to determine what length to do. So this is what I got here. I went ahead and did some measurements. So my plan is I'm going to do 20 inches for the MFD with a T right here, so that'll give me about to there. And then that'll give you enough room to kind of move it in and out if you need to. And then I did 12 inches for the PFD. So these ones will go here, and same deal, connect up to the air data computer, and you get some flex there. So 12 for the PFD, 20 for the MFD. And then I put some red electrical tape on the pitot lines, because that's how Cirrus does it. If you follow them back, the pitot lines have red on them. So that's what we're dealing with here. So I'm going to go ahead and I'll start to assemble this stuff. So here are some of the little inserts that I was talking about earlier. I'm going to grab a knife here. So, little insert looks kind of like that. Alright. So the way you build one of these up, you got your B-nut, you got your tube, and you got your insert. So all you do is you put the B-nut on first. Make sure this has been cut nice and square. I use a real sharp razor blade for that. And then you just put the insert in there and jam it in, push it down until it doesn't go anymore, and then that'll keep the B-nut from slipping off. And there's one connection terminated. Okay, so I went ahead and just did the same thing on all these guys. So now they all have B-nuts and they all have inserts, and these tubes are ready to go, ready to be installed here. So I'll set those aside for now. The next thing was I was going to show you this. This is the pitot-static adapters here. So the pitot, if you can see that, the pitot one is this one over here. It's a little bit bigger, and it's got a slightly bigger notch, and then the static is a little smaller. So just pay attention to those. They come like this, separated. So what I always do is put a little bit of Teflon tape on here, just to make sure you got a good seal. You could probably get away with not putting it on there, but I always like to do that just to make sure I don't have any issues, because sometimes these things leak. So the way I usually do that is I'll just tear off about 3 inches or so, 2 to 3 inches, and then you want to make sure you wrap it the correct way. So wrap it around this way so that when you thread it in, it doesn't unthread, it doesn't unwrap as you're tightening this down. And then I'll go ahead and tighten that up with a wrench, but for now, there you go. Alright, so now what I want to do, I'm going to disconnect. These guys are already labeled P and S for pitot and static, so go ahead and disconnect these. I'm going to throw this is a T that I came in the kit. I'm going to put this T on here now. Alright, do the same thing with this S over here. Put this T in here. Okay, so I've got my 2 T's, and I'm going to try to point them so that they're kind of facing forward like that. And I'm going to take my 2 longer tubes, which are going to go over the MFD. I'm going to put the red one on the P. clear one on the S. Okay. And then I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to take the short ones, the red one on the P. And make sure you don't cross thread these. There we go. And then the clear one on the S. Okay, so now we got there's our general layout, our routing. So next, what I'm going to do is I got to figure out which way. So this is the S, this is the P. All right, and these two are done. So P goes on there. Okay. So the big one is the red, is the P, the pedo. The smaller one is the S. And I'm just kind of finger tightening these things. I'll tighten them all down here in a minute. But I just want to make sure I get them routed to what I think will make sense. I gotta look at the PFD and see how they're routed, but at least I got them on there. And then this guy. Put a little Teflon tape on this one as well. Pretty good, I think. They're probably going to end up bending or so like that to fit where the air data computers are mounted on the back of the units. So, but that should be pretty good. Okay, so now I'd like to talk about the power wires for the air data computers, what that's going to look like, and where we're going to get the power from. So if you'll remember from when we installed the harness that Avidyne provided, there's two loose wires in here. One is for air data computer number 1, one's for air data computer number 2. And what we're going to do is this connector, this blue connector behind, this is behind the PFD section, close to the firewall. This is P685. We're actually going to go into J685, which is this guy right here. And what we're going to do is we're going to take this apart. Sometimes these connectors are a little tough. Okay. So you can see that's got sockets on it. We don't want that side. We need the pin side. So what we're going to do is depin 1 and 11. 1 and 11 both feed the turn coordinator, which is no longer used. We're going to take those pins out of here, cap and stow those wires, and we're going to pin our new wires, these ones, into 11 and 1. Pin 1 goes to turn coordinator number 2, and pin 11 goes to turn coordinator number 1, which we've now we've actually relabeled those as air data computer number 1 and number 2. So let me say that again. J685 pin 11 goes to air data computer number 1, so 11 to 1, and 685 number 1 goes to air data computer number 2. So just try to keep track of that. So Avidyne provides you with the pins, but they only give you 2. So this is the bag they give you. That's the part number. And they give you 2 of these little pins. They look like that. Don't lose these. Okay. So what I'm going to do first is crimp the pins on so that I don't lose. Alright. So here we are. We're at the J side, J685. Here's our connector for power. We're going to be removing pins 1 and 11, which these pins fed the old turn coordinator. We're going to remove those pins and cap and stow them. And then we've got these new wires coming from our new air data computers that we've already crimped pins on, and those are going to go into this connector and be fed by the breaker panel from the old turn coordinator breakers, which are now going to be relabeled to air data 1 and air data 2. So what we want to do is the PFD power, or the air data 1 power, which goes to the pilot side PFD, is this guy here. This is going to go to pin 11. So I'm going to go ahead and depin pin 11 here. which is, let's see, these are hard to read sometimes, but okay, so there we go. And I'll get some heat shrink on these, cap and stow them. And I'll tie this up nicely and reconnect everything. Make sure you want to redo this. This is an 8L clamp here. This connector was going through that 8L clamp before, so we're going to go ahead and put that back in. Yep, that'll be that.